Hey, it's Trickton with Trickton Gaming, and today I'll show you how to survive in Elder Scrolls Online. If you've ever wondered why you're getting melted in PvP or struggling to survive in vet dungeons or trials, this video is for you. We're going to break down the complex mechanics of physical, spell, and crit resistance, making them easy to understand. At the end of this video, I will give you additional ways to increase your survival that you can apply directly to your gameplay. Now let's get into it. So, the first thing to understand when trying to survive in ESO is armor types and traits. There are 3 different armor types: light, medium, and heavy. Light armor provides the most mobility with the least amount of armor. Medium is a balance of both mobility and armor, and heavy provides the most amount of armor with the least amount of mobility. With armor traits, there are 3 that provide additional benefits when it comes to resistances. Impenetrable increases your crit resistance by 132, which we'll get into later. Reinforced increases your armor rating on armor pieces, and Nirnhoned increases both your physical and spell resistance. Which brings us to our next topic. What are resistances? So, there are 2 main types of resistances that you need to know: physical and spell. In ESO, they work like armor. The higher they are, the less damage you take, but it gets a little bit more nuanced than that. Physical resistance covers things like poison, disease, and bleed damage, while spell resistance protects you from flame, frost, and shock damage. Now here's the key. These subcategories add to your main resistance when you're hit by their specific damage type. For example, if you have a base spell resistance and extra flame resistance, you'll benefit from both when hit by fire. Pro tip: use the in-game advanced stats screen to monitor your resistances. It'll show you your effective mitigation and help you fine-tune your build. And don't forget that buffs and debuffs can significantly impact your resistances. So always be aware of what's active on you. So you're probably thinking, if you have high resistances, you take less damage. Simple, right? Well, not quite. Because next we gotta talk about critical resistance. So, resistances lower your normal damage, but what about critical hits? That's where critical resistance comes in. Critical resistance reduces the extra damage you take from a critical hit. Your base modifier is 1.5, meaning a critical hit deals 50% more damage. So, if an enemy has 50% critical damage bonus, and you have 0 critical resistance, you're taking a full 150% damage from that crit. But if you have critical resistance, it lowers that extra damage, so you're not getting obliterated every time someone crits you. For every 68 critical resistance, you reduce the modifier by 1%. So to completely negate the base critical damage, you need 3400 crit resistance. This is crucial in PvP, where critical hits can be devastating. In PvE, this isn't a huge concern because enemies don't crit very often. But in PvP, where players are constantly trying to burst you down, yeah, critical resistance is a must. The go-to way of getting critical resistance: the impenetrable trait on armor we talked about earlier in the video. Trust me, if you PvP and don't have impen, you're gonna have a bad time. Really quick, if you're serious about mastering ESO and staying ahead of the game, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of our in-depth guides and tips. If you find this video helpful, smash that like button so we can help other players too. Alright. So now you're thinking, okay, so I just stack as much resistance as possible and I'm invincible, right? Well, not exactly. ESO has a soft cap on resistances. For champion point 160 plus characters, that cap is 33,000, or 660 resistance per 1% mitigated. That's 50% damage reduction. So at 33,000 physical or spell resistance, you get 50% damage reduction. Going above 33k does almost nothing because of how ESO's damage formula works. So, the goal? Get as close to 33k, but don't stress if you go a little over. And before you ask, there is no cap in PvP. But since enemy penetration reduces your resistances, stacking more can help. But that brings us to our next point, shields. Shields work differently than resistances. Instead of reducing the damage, they absorb it before it hits your health bar. Shields ignore resistances, they take damage directly, meaning penetration does nothing to shields. If you're a Magicka build in PvP, you'll often see players stacking shields instead of resistances just to avoid penetration. Just be aware, shields can be weaker against siege weapons, overload, and certain PvP set bonuses. Alright, now let's talk about PvE versus PvP. Penetration is where things get interesting. It reduces your effective resistance. Players and even mobs in PvE have penetration, which means that you need to account for that when calculating your actual mitigation. In PvE, remember that mobs have a base penetration of 100. So even if you hit 33,000 cap, you're still dealing with some penetration. In PvP, you want to hit around 30 to 33,000 resistance for tanking. But DPS and healers don't need to stack it as high. Why? Because bosses have a set amount of penetration, and they don't adapt to your build. In PvP, penetration is everywhere. Players run 10,000, 15,000, even 100,000 penetration. That means if you have 33,000 resistance, you might only have effectively 15,000 after penetration. A good number to reach for is 30,000 physical and spell resistance. However, if you're a healer, I'd recommend 35,000 before any buffs. So, in PvP, having higher resistances and critical resistance is ideal. Now, as you have damage coming in, there are a few things you can do to keep yourself alive in those hairy situations. One of those things that you should consider to stay alive in ESO is healing. Now, I won't go into depth about all the different kinds of healing and everything, but you should consider healing over time, or HOTS, and burst healing. You can get healing over time from skills like Vigor and Rapid Regeneration. By keeping the healing coming in, your health won't fall as easily when you have damage, as sometimes it can cancel out. When things get a little bit more intense and your health is dropping below 50%, that's when you want to get a burst heal, such as Breath of Life, Arctic Wind, or Coagulating Blood, just to name a few. Alright, let's wrap this up with a few different strategies to stay alive. So, resistances aren't your only way to survive. There are other ways to reduce your damage, like champion points. Ironclad reduces your direct damage, Resilience adds critical resistance, and Duelist Rebuff reduces your single target damage. There are armor sets. Some sets give direct resistance, like Fortified Brass or Pariah, and even Gaze of Sithis. And there are some skills that provide buffs, like Major or Minor Resolve. You can get these from skills like Frostcloak, Hardened Armor, and Rune Focus. As well as Major Protection, it straight up reduces all damage by 10%. You can get this from skills like Blinding Flare, Northern Storm, and Focus Charge. Mixing these into your build lets you survive way more damage than just stacking armor. While understanding these mechanics is key to surviving in ESO's toughest content, don't just stack random stats. Focus on balancing your resistances to maximize your survivability. So, there you have it, a comprehensive guide on how to stay alive in Elder Scrolls Online. I hope this video has helped you understand the complex mechanics and giving you the tools to improve your gameplay. If you have any questions or tips of your own, drop them in the comments below. Hopefully this has cleared up how resistances work, how much you need, and how to survive better in both PvE and PvP. If you found this helpful, smash that like button. And if you want to see more in-depth ESO guides, subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, stay strong, stay tanky, and I'll see you in the next one.